Welcome to the special edition of Your View with me, JJ Tawani. We're coming to you from the National Council of Provinces. We're in the office of the Deputy Speaker, Ms. Sylvia Lucas, and we're talking to her about her reflections on her new job. And things is still new after a few months, maybe not so new, but indeed a different responsibility that she used to have as the Premier of the Northern Cape. Ms. Lucas, thank you so much and welcome to Your View.
Thank you very much.
Why NCOP? Just take us to the original idea. Why do we need this second house?
Can I just say something before you continue?
Yes.
You must remember, it's the privilege of having a corner office.
It's a lovely office, by the way, I must tell you. I walked in here and said, my God, hey, yeah, if work doesn't happen, we're going to be even more angry. Because it's a big office, nice office. You have all the facilities, wonderful staff, no excuse.
No excuse, that's definitely so. Now, you were asking why the NCOP.
Why the NCOP? Just take our viewers to the beginning. Why do we need this second house?
If you remember, historically, there have always been a second house. In the past, it used to be the Senate.
They call the Senate, yes.
And also, as the democratic government, it was agreed that we need to have that upper house. That is actually what they call it, the upper house of Parliament. Because it is, I think it is bringing in some kind of checks and balances to make sure that some of the areas, but also the most important one, I must say, is to make sure that there is representation of local government and also of provinces. Because remember, members of the NCOP is being sent as delegates, permanent delegates, some of us from the province. And about 54 of us is permanent delegates from the province, and 36 is some of the 36 is from special delegates, which means members of the provincial legislatures. From time to time they are mandated to come to the NCOP to assist with the business of the House. But there is also 10 representatives from organized local government, which means it is a house that brings together the three spheres of government and it makes sure that there is kind of collaboration within the different spheres of government. And that is why the NCOP is there. Because I think in any case, you need to make sure that the National Assembly, big as it is, some of the things can fall through the cracks, but also you need to make sure that there is a coordinating body, and that is what your NCOP, in effect, is the role what the NCOP is playing. And that is why in many countries, you will find that they do indeed have a second house, possibly with a different mandate, but they do indeed have a second house. So the NCOP, and I also thought that NCOP possibly, and even Parliament in general, because remember, Parliament is made up of National Assembly as well as the NCOP, and together they constitute Parliament. And that is why you hear people speak about Parliament, and then sometimes they think it's just the National Assembly. But generally, if you speak about Parliament, you speak about both houses. So that is why it's the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. I think that is some education that some people also need. We need to educate them to understand that. So the National Council of Provinces, also something I was like very excited to realize that sometimes individuals can petition the National Council of Provinces directly. I mean, for me, last week we were dealing with such an issue of an individual that was not treated well by the municipality, by whoever, possibly Kokta or whoever, because they had a business that they were running at a hostel in Tokoza. I hope I'm not giving more details, but in the end, this person lost like property, but through the intervention of the NCOP now, with the national department as well as the local department as well as the provincial department, that individual can now be compensated for whatever they have lost. So the NCOP has got a very important role. You can imagine if you have a broad mandate like the National Assembly, it might happen that you will not be able to assist people at the level that the NCOP can assist. But the NCOP also have an important role to play in terms of making sure that they work with local government. And they also, if you have noticed, whenever there is a municipality that need to be put under administration, it cannot happen before the NCOP have actually agreed to it. And the NCOP just do not just agree. They went into an extensive investigation involving all stakeholders, including communities, including political parties, to make sure that the decision they take is not necessarily because it's in the womb of someone that is aggrieved, but it is really informed when they take such a decision.
But is the NCOP worried about the state of local government? If you look at what the Auditor General's report has said, right, some of the statistics in that report are hugely worrying. I mean, quite apart from the wasteful and fruitless expenditure, which is running into billions, right, there's also the issue of just general dysfunctionality of some of the municipalities. The Auditor General, for instance, saying that half of these municipalities don't have a proper plan on water management. Such a basic thing. They don't have a proper, plan on sanitation management. 48% of them. It sounds bad. Is the NCOP concerned about that, or are you just waiting at a point where now you must intervene? I'm just curious there, because you raised it in terms of your interventions beyond just sitting in here and passing laws.
When we arrived here at the NCOP, one of the things that we did was to be inducted. And in our induction, we brought in the provinces and we brought in SALGA. And we brought in National Treasury, the Auditor General's Office, COCTA, Water and Sanitation, and we started to have our induction, but also discuss all the areas. In our Lekgotla, we did the same. But what I initially wanted to say is when I arrived here, they gave us a report on the 5th Parliament, firstly. But also they gave us a report on the Parliament meets the people. And that one was on Gauteng province. So I read through the whole of report. And I saw a lot of proactive work that have been done by the NCOP. And then in that reports, they identified many issues. And in fact, before they went out, they identified many issues like local government was one of it. And then also the issue of the migrants and the foreign nationals was one of the other issues that was adopted to go and visit in Parliament meets the people and see what is it that it is all about. NCOP is an oversight body. So NCOP is like the National Assembly, like any provincial legislature, that must make sure that executive respond, executive deliver. So what they did is to give reports on their findings to the different executors, that is now the executive authority, to say, but that is our findings, that is what we would want to see, and that is what we would want done. So the first NCOP week that we had since we came here, we went out, each and every one of us, as permanent delegates, we were sent to our provinces. All parties, one delegation. We sent to our provinces. What was our theme? To revisit local government and to discuss areas of solutions with the local authorities and to see what we can do. The unfortunate part is that if you arrive here and you find matters at the stage where they are, is that now you make recommendations, but now what must be happening is that you must now full-time follow up to make sure that there is implementation. There is implementation. So that is what we are doing. And from time to time, the select committee will then call in particular municipalities, but then also go out and visit particular municipalities to address, but also call ministers to the NCOP, to the committees, but also for questions in the NCOP, in the House, to make sure that there is the areas that we have identified is being addressed.
Let me go back to the issue raised about the fact that the House combines, or rather represents, all spheres of government in one place. Right? If you look at let's take an example of Alexander. Right? Ahead of the election, we had a situation where local government was pointing a finger at provincial government local government pointing a finger at national government, everybody passing their buck, right? Is a structure like the NCOP having a role in resolving that kind of passing of the buck between the spheres? Because the people on the ground, frankly, don't care about your structures, whether you are national, local, and they just see one government that is failing them, especially in a situation like Alexander, where money is being stolen, right, instead of being put to development.
We went to Gauteng, and we requested them that we want to come back to follow up as to see what has been addressed. And some of the things that we particularly raised with them is the fact that we feel that people need to take responsibility, because the people out there, they are not worried about our political differences. They want to see their own situation being improved. The unfortunate part, and it's difficult, I have experienced it, that if you are not of the same orientation and of the same ideological background, it will be that it is easy to pass the buck. It is easy to pass the buck. So, and that is what was happening in the case of Alexander. And I think when I took over as a premier, there was a situation in my province that I was very unhappy with. And one of the former MECs, that was MEC at that stage, was now in another opposition party. So, in questions to the premier, he asked me a question about that specific situation. And I responded to say, but is it you that can even ask me that question?
He had already forgotten what he did.
But he stood up and he said, if you accept responsibility, you accept it lock, stock and barrel. You don't come back and blame other people.
Absolutely. And I
you
think
understand what I'm saying?
I hope that the fact that all the spheres are represented in one place can be good for our people, because now you can collectively now take responsibility to resolve the issues.